Imagine this. You just spilled coffee on yourself in front of someone you really wanted to impress.
Does your inner critic immediately jump in to dominate your inner monologue? Ugh, why did I just do that?
Do you find yourself reliving the moment of embarrassment over and over? Do you feel regret? Or maybe easily getting into a shame spiral?
Do you struggle with forgiving yourself? Or maybe you avoid heavy emotions only to have them bubble up later, like yelling at the cashier at the grocery store, or maybe a little bit of road rage?
Yeah. And do you sometimes feel like you're the only person that feels this way? Are you nodding your head yes right now? Keep listening for a dose of relief.
Guess what? We all feel this way from time to time. It's totally normal. On this podcast, we reveal the messy bits about ourselves without judgment. It's a space where we can reflect, grow, and process our experiences.
And maybe we can even laugh about our actions, attitudes, and behaviors, where we can speak about our past and learn from it.
So, are you longing for a life with less worry and more joy? Let's get started. Hey there. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Really Regret podcast. My name is Victoria Muir-Bercia, and I am joined by my co-host.
Hi, it's Shadoe Ball.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. We took a little bit of a break to focus on ourselves and to focus on what we wanted to do in the upcoming season. So welcome, everybody. We are so excited to be back, to be recording. Have lots coming up this season. So welcome back to the Let's Really Regret podcast. If this is your first time listening, this is a place where we can talk about regrets, the messy bits, the funny bits, and find a way to let them go so that we can move forward with our lives. How are you feeling today, Shadoe? How are you feeling? Check in on a scale of 1 to 10.
Actually, I'm feeling pretty great. I'm going to say like an 8.5. How about you?
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself a 6.5 only because I had book club last night. It went a little bit off the rails. So you might hear it in my voice this morning. It's a little bit low and grovelly because, I had a couple pops, had a couple drinks with the book club pops.
So you're a pop, it's so funny. I grew up in the North, so I've always said pop. But then when I started dating my husband, he's a soda guy, even though he's not American. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know what I say. I think I say soft drinks.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I've become a soda person just through his influence, but I think I still have a fondness for pop. Like it's just a more fun word.
Yeah, had a couple pops, had a couple drinks. So my voice is a little low and grovelly, but I'm super happy to be here and super excited that we are back.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have a cause for applause?
Yeah, it's actually tied to why I'm feeling so good. And I guess I'll put the TMI warning ahead of it. But okay. Like, that meme out there where it's like sex is cool, but have you ever blank? And it's like something that's really like not as good as sex, but it's just kind of funny. So for me, it's like sex is great, but have you ever recovered from an ear infection? I was really in it. Like our place flooded, the fans like popped something in my ear. It's over now, but literally this morning was the first morning I woke up and was like, oh my gosh, there's no pain in my head.
That's amazing.
And so that
so
feels
many
better.
Ear infections.
I know. And it's like, there's something about that where it's like, it's better than coffee. Like it is like the best that when you've been like sick for like 4 or 5 days and then that one morning you wake up and it's gone. I feel like there should be a way to bottle that feeling,
Yeah.
So my cause for applause is, I guess modern medicine and no longer having an ear infection. Yeah. What about you? What's your cause for applause this time?
My cause for applause first is that we're here and recording. And I'm just going to do a general one. It's summer. It's
Mm,
summer while we're recording.
mm-hmm.
I love summer. I live on Lake Ontario. Um, my husband this week started going, we're so lucky we live at this resort. We can just go for a swim. So I'm calling this summer my work resort retreat from home. The lake has been a good temperature because sometimes it's freezing and the weather's been great. So I'm just having a general, it's summer and I'm so happy that it's summer and that it's hot and sunny.
Yeah,
That's my cause for applause. So
it's a great one.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that like you're saying like, oh, we live in a resort. Similarly, like I live in such like a tourist heavy area that I kind of forget, like 'cause you just kind of get bogged down with your routine and stuff. And then like I'll be walking Gertie and I'll see someone taking a picture of the CN Tower and their eyes are just like so wide and they're like so happy to be taking this photo and like it kind of kicks it back in to be like, oh, right, like I live in a really great area and like
You
I
know,
should,
it's so
yeah.
interesting. Last night at book club,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one of my friends has a daughter who's like 19. She
Okay.
was born in Toronto and she has been traveling the world and doing these amazing things. And my friend was talking about how her daughter's like, Toronto is terrible. I don't like Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my friend and I, we both didn't grow up in Toronto, so we chose to move here. And we're like, what? Toronto is so great. Like, how could anybody not, how could a young person not like it? We're like, there's food here, there's culture here, there's diversity, there's different neighborhoods, there's the feeling of community, there's all these things. So it's so interesting, like the different perspectives, right? Or we just get stuck in it. It's good to be like a tourist in your own town sometimes, or so interesting that you say that because that's basically what like Christian and I are like, yeah, let's treat this summer like, a resort. Let's like look around our beautiful beaches community and like appreciate what we have kind of thing.
Yeah, I will extend my sympathy to your friend's daughter, though. I think when we're 19, we're just sick of what we are used to, right? Like you're saying, this person's traveling the world, they're getting their
Yeah.
eyes open to all these things. But then you come kind of around, right? Like I of course, had that same feeling at 19, get out of Dodge. You gotta get out there, explore, like, find out what's for you. So I just think that that's a general like 19-year-old
Yeah,
feeling
that's true. But
without
I was get out of Dodge and get to Toronto. It wasn't get
S.
Toronto wasn't Dodge for me. Toronto was
Of
the like place,
course. But
right?
yeah, yeah, like it's all our own perceptions, right? Similarly, like, yeah, when I went to university in Peterborough, like I went from Sudbury to Peterborough first, and I met so many people from Toronto who were planning to move to Peterborough after like being done school.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of
Um,
people like Peterborough from Toronto.
yeah, and I think it's just, people like different things. Some people really like a quieter existence, not existence, existence is the wrong word, I guess habitat. Like it's like Toronto can be very overstimulating if it's just not your thing, it's not your thing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I love it. And that's
Yeah.
my cause for
So
applause.
good. Such a good one.
So if you're out there and this is your first time listening to the podcast, because we haven't been around for a couple months, this is how we do it. We do a check-in, and then we each share a regret. Sometimes we have a host. Sometimes we have a guest, and we're going to share our regrets, and then we're going to talk about them. So, do you want to
Mm.
go first?
Uh,
All right, awesome.
okay.
Whenever you're ready, my friend.
Great. So I'm just going to start. And this time, this isn't in a specific experience. It's just a general way of life thing. So I'm going to start by saying, I have a habit I need to let go of in order to move forward. I regret allowing guilt to be my main motivation in decision making. Something that was discovered like years ago in therapy is that I have a tendency to self-sacrifice, which is different than self-sabotage. This is when you're constantly putting the needs of others in front of your own, even though you know it's going to hurt you to do that. So, how that works for me is that, like, sometimes, actually, no, like most of the time, I feel guilty. And that guilt makes me so uncomfortable in my skin. And I'm constantly trying to chase away the guilt. So I choose to do things that I don't want to do simply because I perceive those things as a way to ease that guilty feeling inside. Now, when I make these decisions, I end up feeling depleted. but I'm also so used to it. And like almost a decade later, I'm getting a bit better at noticing when the guilt is creeping in, but for the most part, I still allow it to guide me. And the consequence of holding on to this habit is that I'm not being truthful with my loved ones, which then leads to resentment. So then I make this decision, I come back to my own space, and then I like have this emotional hangover and I'll be in bed for days after. So I forgive myself for allowing guilt to guide me because I can kind of intellectually see why it happened, because the guilt compels me into action, and that action feels good. And then the guilt goes away for a little bit, so then I feel more free. I understand that I made those decisions with the tools I had at the time, and that's okay. That is who I was, and in a way, I still kind of am, but I am learning to grow. I know that I will still allow guilt to influence my decision making in the future, but I'm eager to not have it as like the main source. Like it'll be like a little bit of it. I'm relieved to say this out loud and feel capable of noticing when it kind of comes back into the driver's seat. I know I need more tools to fully make decisions based on what I truly want, but I'm no longer in denial about that, which is a huge step. So, overcoming guilt is not the goal. Recognizing when the guilt is in the driver's seat is. It can stay in the back seat, or better yet, in the trunk.
Do you want feedback? Do you want to talk about it or just want to leave it there?
We can do a little bit of feedback with the caveat that I do not feel comfortable providing examples of this
Oh,
behavior.
okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I
Hmm.
think it's totally like, I don't even think you need to provide examples. As I was listening to it, I was like, yep, yep,
Mm,
yeah,
hmm.
right. It's the people pleasing cycle. And I think different people have different things that drive their people pleasing cycle. So for you, it's like guilt or like not wanting to feel the guilt.
Yeah, because it's just so crushing. So I always like find ways to like kind of like deflect the guilt,
Yeah.
but really it's not getting to the root of why I feel guilty.
Yeah. You're like preemptively trying to deflect it by saying yes and helping and, putting your energy into other people.
Yeah, it definitely ties back to this idea of like the get out of Dodge thing, right? Like I
Mm.
got out of Dodge. So like I feel guilty that I was able to do that. So then to try and make myself feel less guilty, I do things that I maybe don't want to do just to like, and again, it's not like those people are even asking. They're not asking for me to do these things, really. I'm so uncomfortable with my guilt that I try to, I don't know, like do all these other things that I think are going to make me feel better, and make those people feel better, which again, not necessarily the right way to go about things.
Have you heard about this, like a statistical study
Mm.
about what are the actual like limiting beliefs that people hear in their head? And they determined that there's actually five that most people feel. Like everybody feels the same kind of like inner thoughts in some ways. They can kind of be like tapped into these five kind of umbrella limiting
Mm.
beliefs. And some of them are obvious. Like when I say, or I don't like calling them limiting beliefs. I like calling them like, these are belief systems you have in your head. They might be preventing you from thriving or preventing you from living your life, but they're a pattern in your head. So I don't really like this word limiting belief. It's a belief, right? So some of them are obvious, right? So imposter syndrome, for example,
Right.
is like an obvious. Perfectionism is a little bit obvious. Like I can't take action until everything's perfect. The other three, when I learned this, was really kind of, I was like, oh yeah, so obvious to me, but also not obvious because I didn't think it was like a belief that was holding me back. And this is really common, the fear of leaving others behind. If I
Mm.
grow and change,
Hmm.
I'll lose my relationships and my friends. If I leave others behind, I won't be able to make new relationships. So I might as well stay with the relationships I have or nurture the ones I have. But I don't think that's necessarily what you're saying, but there's also fear of shining, which I was like,
Mm.
oh, this is so interesting because of course everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of people have imposter syndrome. Fear of shining is one of the most common limiting beliefs. And it's like, if I succeed, I'll make others uncomfortable. If I'm successful,
Hmm.
so fear of shining and leaving other people behind is kind of like grounded in guilt.
Right.
right? If
Yeah.
if I'm successful, that means I have to leave my loved ones behind. And so like there's this whole guilt that's driving those two kind of limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
I call it the people pleasing cycle. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but there's lots of different reasons why people enter into that people pleasing cycle. That's why I was asking for you. It's like guilt or preventing the feeling of guilt, but ultimately what happens in whatever reason it is that you end the pleasing cycle. Literally, when you were saying it, I was writing it down as you were saying it, is feeling resentful
Right.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you get like angry at the person that you said you would help, but really you're angry at yourself for saying yes, right? But you're like displacing it onto the person that you like said you would help. Because then you're like, why are they asking so much of me? Or what really you're angry. But like it always ends up in that feeling of resentment towards
Hmm.
spending this energy that
Yeah.
you don't want to be spending.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's not even just like in my relationships. I think it's also in my desire to stay informed about what's going
Mm,
on in the world because
interesting.
it makes me feel like a responsible citizen, right? Like if I'm learning all the terrible, horrible injustices that are going on, then I can feel a little less guilty for not being subject to those terrible, horrible injustices. So I
Hmm.
think that's part of it too, is that like I'm trying to chase away the feeling of guilt, but like I'm not really doing anything other than just making myself more miserable.
Yeah, so can I ask you a question at the beginning of
Yeah.
your regret? You said there's a difference between self-sacrifice and self-sabotage. Where does
So I
that fall? Where does that fall? The like having to be aware of everything going on. Is that self-sacrifice or if that is that self-sabotage?
think that one's more just, I also am worried it's just like the addictive quality of our media these days, not necessarily even self-sacrifice or self-sabotage. Yeah, I that's a really good question.
Because my brain immediately goes to self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like choosing to, and I'm not saying that you're choosing consciously, I'm not judging it because you're right, media is addictive. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, as you're doom scrolling, right? You're choosing to put that energy into that spot versus taking that energy and healing yourself, nurturing your relationships, like cleaning your house maybe or whatever it is. But like, so I think it's a bit of self-sabotage, the doom scrolling. But it's interesting because your brain is saying, no, 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 you have to do it because the guilt is going to drive this. Because if you don't know what's going on in the world, therefore you're a bad person for not being aware, or therefore, right? Like, so that's a really interesting little cycle that could be interesting to kind of try to figure out and break free from. Kind of four or five different things in there that like has mixed in. And tell me if I get this right. Your brain has
Sure.
reason that you need to watch the news
Mm-hmm.
so that you can feel grateful for what you have, that you're not in those situations. But in the meantime, you're overwatching the news. You're feeling guilty so that you can feel grateful. And then you're self sabotaging yourself from putting that energy that you're putting into watching the news and feeling guilty from putting into your actual life so you can thrive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think and I think it's so interesting. So the other side of the coin of doom scrolling, I've seen it is called hope questing. Like
Oh,
you're
hope
literally trying.
questing?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
So
Okay.
like, and it's true. Like I would say for every like five terrible things I see on my phone, I see something really funny or really relatable. And then like it keeps you on, right? It keeps you addicted to the scroll. And then like, yeah, sometimes the doom scrolling too, it just like, honestly, I don't even know where necessarily the source of the guilt is or if it's like a chicken and the egg, right?
Mm.
Like I think I have not always felt guilty. That's such a wild kind of catastrophizing.
How about you say like guilty is a behavior that is your fallback behavior? Is guilt your
Yeah,
fallback
yeah.
behavior? Yeah, your
Yeah,
fallback
I definitely
pattern?
think so. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a huge pattern. So I don't even think it's that the news is making me feel guilty so that I feel grateful. I think I always feel guilty. So like when I watch the news, it at least puts like a shape to that guilt. So then I can like again
Mm.
intellectualize it and be like, okay, it makes sense that I feel guilty because look at all these terrible things that are happening. Um, you know, so I think it just does displace that for a bit.
Can
I
I
yeah.
I'm gonna throw something else at you that we've talked about on this podcast before. So we've talked about toxic positivity,
Hmm.
and I think we've talked about toxic gratitude.
I think
And
so, yeah,
what
but
you're explaining is toxic gratitude.
hmm
It's like
hmm
you are forcing yourself to feel gratitude through guilt. So, like, examples
hmm
of toxic gratitude are definitely because you're allowed to feel grateful just because you're allowed to have your own human experience. You're allowed, right? But, like, examples of toxic gratitude are like, you should be grateful you have that food. People are starving in other parts of the world,
hmm
right? Like, you're putting guilt on the gratitude
yeah,
and
yeah.
you're not going to get that's not gratitude and you're not going to get any of the benefits from it. So like you're saying, if I watch the news, then I it should force me to feel grateful for what I have. And that's
Mm-hmm.
actually really toxic and not good for your mental, emotional, and brain health at all because it's not true gratitude. It's like a forcing of gratitude from a place of guilt.
Yeah, I mean, it already has happened. Just like an example from the past week is that my place flooded. We're getting everything repaired and everyone's okay. And then that exact night we're in the hotel because again, grateful that we were able to get a hotel and get away from our apartment during the
Hmm.
repairs, or the first round of repairs. And we turn on the TV in the hotel and it's like all these floods in Texas and all these like young people who've died, and it's like, oh, and it helps kind of put it into perspective because I get what you're saying, that like toxic gratitude is not awesome, but like at the same time, if it means I can actually move on, I find it hard to give that up.
Yeah, like a perspective shift is good. I get what you're saying
Yeah,
there.
okay,
I
yeah.
totally get what you're saying there. But when it goes overboard too much, that you're not
Mm-hmm.
that you're suppressing your feelings instead of feeling your feelings. If you're saying, I don't deserve to feel this way, like you're
Mm-hmm.
guilting yourself into saying, I don't deserve to feel this way because other people are suffering. No, 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 no. Like you're allowed to feel your feelings. You're allowed to have your own human experience, and you don't need to compare yourself to others and guilt yourself into suppressing negative, I'm using air quotes here, suppressing negative emotions
Mm-hmm.
or ignoring them because they will always come back up anyways. So I think there's a fine line between what you've said is sometimes things just put things in perspective and then you can easily let it go. Like
Right.
that's how I know the difference. If something puts things into perspective and you can just easily let it go and move on, great. But if something's forcing you to put things in perspective, I'm using air quotes here, but you actually suppress your feelings and then start feeling guilty, and then, that is self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think there's a really fine line. And when you were talking about your regret, one thing that I think is really great is that like you're acknowledging all the work you've done and that you're moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. So I kind of felt like there was a little bit of a cause for applause, like weaved into your regret as you were saying it today, and also acknowledging that like you're still doing the work. And I think it's a really human thing to do, and we all need to do that, right? We all need to like acknowledge the work we're doing and like acknowledge where we still need to go. So I kind of like almost heard a little bit of a cause for applause in there too when you were talking.
Yeah, because again, it's not just about saying like, oh, well, then I'm never gonna allow guilt into my consciousness ever again, because like that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So I have to just find ways to be like, oh, hi, guilt. How are you doing? Tell me how you're feeling, and then okay, great, noted, and send you to the back seat, send you to the trunk, like. Yeah, and not
Get
even
to the
let you
trunk.
go,
Yeah.
like just I'm trying to remember who said it. I saw this on a show recently where someone was saying like there's all this inner, like there's a lot of pressure, not pressure, but there's a lot of stuff out there about healing your inner child, right? Like getting your inner
Mm-hmm.
child and like hugging them and like letting them feel heard and stuff. But that doesn't mean they get to run the show. You can you can
Yes.
be like you can be like, hey, 12-year-old me, that was really unfair. That was really unfair how you were treated today. I hear you. You didn't deserve to be like that didn't mean, like you shouldn't have had to experience that. However, I'm now almost 40 and I can't be making choices in my current like shell that are 100% for you.
Yeah.
So like go to your room. Like,
Yeah, very
I heard you.
interesting.
I heard you. I'm listening. You have a seat at the dinner table, but please go away for a couple hours because I actually have to get this done.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and that's been a big shift for me too, because it's not about saying, oh, I'm just never gonna think about that, or I'm just gonna push this away. Like you've got to give yourself time and energy to like feel these things so that you can move into action that feels more aligned. I think I got really dependent is probably the word, dependent on that guilt to like
Mm.
compel me into action. Because the same things happens with anxiety, right? Like if
Hmm.
I let my house get kind of gross, but then someone's coming over, so holy shit, I turn into the Tasmanian devil, but instead of destroying things, I'm cleaning things, but I'm
Hmm.
cleaning things with that same energy, which is hard to be around, right? So then I banish my husband and say, I want to clean, but I want to clean the way I want to clean, so you got to get out of here because I can't clean in a calm way. It needs to be like this whirlwind of
Yeah. Like you need
excitement and
urgency.
adrenaline. Yeah, I need the urgency, and so I became really dependent on that urgency to put me into action. So I think guilt's done the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I've become dependent on the guilt to make positive decisions, which aren't like again, it's not that I want to banish guilt. I just want to make it not the main reason. Like I don't want it to be like I have to go to Sudbury because, I feel so guilty that like my mom's lonely, right? It's got to be like, I want to go to Sudbury because I want to see my mom and play a game of crib. Like that has to be a different
That's
decision.
right.
So,
That's right.
yeah. Yeah. So that's more what I'm trying to talk about is that like guilt was like my main motivation. And like, I just can't keep doing it because it's hard. It's hard on your nervous system.
I think also what you're explaining too is almost like guilt borderlining turning into shame.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to feel guilt because we can learn a lesson from it. We go, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
feel guilty. I treated that person that way. In the future, I'm not going to treat people that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you learn from it and then you let the guilt go.
Yeah.
But shame hangs around and we're not supposed to feel shame. Shame is something that was like invented by, I'm not even going to say modern society, just like as soon as we started living in tribes and cave people, like shame started existing. But we invented it as human beings. It's not something programmed into our brain. So guilt is I did a bad thing and I'm going to learn from it. But shame is I am a bad thing and I need to behave in ways to make people think I'm not a bad thing or behave in ways to perpetuate me feeling like I'm a bad person.
Right.
And so knowing the difference is really key, but also like when your guilt is around all the time, is it guilt or is it shame?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
answer that, but I'm just saying there is a fine line at some point where it crosses over. And because guilt should be something where you go, okay, I I'm going to learn from that. And as soon as you say to yourself, I'm going to learn from that, the guilt can easily be let go. But if that's not
Mm-hmm.
happening, maybe it's
Yeah.
worth a little bit more of an exploration around the feelings around the guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's literally when we were designing this podcast or came together, we were like, is it guilt or is it regret that we're going to talk about? But it's all the same thing, right? Like regret's in there too, right? But a regret also we can learn from it. Like regret is a form of guilt that we can learn from it. But if we're feeling that deep shame, that's when we have to go, okay, where is this coming from? And
Mm-hmm.
how can I heal it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I
Yeah.
maybe what I'm saying is the difference between guilt and shame is guilt we can let go of, but shame we need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to say like just one more thing about like the inner child thing because you're right, there's a lot right now about like healing your inner child. And I think it's great work. I also think there's a time and a place for it because sometimes we feel pressured to know the reasons why, like what happened in my childhood that makes me behave this way. But sometimes it's okay if you don't know why, and we're like hyper focused on the reason why as a way of healing.
Hmm.
And sometimes that can be a bit destructive. The more important thing is you know the what. What
Right.
is the pattern that I keep doing?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't figure out the why, you can get stuck trying to figure out, why do I have this pattern? I keep going. Instead, acknowledge what the pattern is and how can I shift the pattern. So sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, because I think inner child healing stuff is great too, and looking at your past, but sometimes we don't need to know the why. We just need to know the what. This is what's happening right now. This is a pattern that I keep doing. Now that I am aware of the what, I'm aware of what it is. How do I change it? And that can be
Mm-hmm.
a point of healing too. So it's okay if you don't know the why,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing the what is really good information for yourself. What's the pattern? I don't like it. I want to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think you've kind of done both of those things today, like in explaining what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that actually, there's a song that comes to mind. It's by Florence and the Machine, and the song is called Hunger. And it's all about all the different ways she's tried to kind of, again, kind of be dependent on hunger. So, it starts with like as a teenager, she starved herself because it gave kind of a shape to the feeling she felt inside. And then she didn't have to call it loneliness
Hmm.
as a hunger. And then like as she became famous, like then all of she could say, okay, well, I just want to put all of that energy into my crowd and the love I get back from the crowd. But like still there's this crushing loneliness that like follows her everywhere. And it's a really beautiful song. Um, yeah. And yeah, goes through the what a
Yeah,
lot
like
about
the
like,
what, right? And she doesn't go through the why. She's like acknowledging, this is the pattern right now. This is the pattern right now. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we put a lot of pressure on the why. And I think you can find different ways to heal that work for you. And maybe it's the what and not the why. And once you know the what, then it's the how.
right.
How do I change the pattern? How do I take action? Because often we get like completely paralyzed in the why or even the what, and we're not moving
Hmm.
forward. So
Hmm.
why is optional, what isn't, and then the next step is how. Because when
Yeah.
we figure out the how, we start to take action, and that's when we actually start to heal ourselves. So
Hmm.
yeah, we just went
Yeah.
down a rabbit hole, but
Oh no, that's okay. Ben and I mean it's kind of macabre, but like Ben and I have this like kind of inside joke slash little game that sometimes when we're talking about stuff, he goes, "Oh, there was the trauma." Like,
yeah,
"Oh, where's the trauma?" Because like sometimes we're just talking and I can just quickly get into well, when I was 12, this happened, like,
yeah,
or and it's not always the healthiest thing to kind of hyper focus on when you're just trying to talk about like the day.
yeah,
So it's there have been a few times in the last year or so where I can feel myself about to tell a story that connects to like why I behaved a certain way that day. But then, I just go, oh wait, like I just need to say sorry for my behavior.
yeah,
I don't need to be like, I'm sorry for my behavior, but when I was 11, I wasn't picked for blah, blah, blah. And then when
yeah.
you said that, it reminded me of when I wasn't picked, blah, blah. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of talk around triggers or activations, which is great. Again, that's information to know what triggers you. But again, how do you move forward from that knowledge, knowing what triggers you?
yeah,
Instead of saying in it and saying that's a trigger for me and I'm just stuck,
yeah, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, and I liked your analogy too of like saying to the 12-year-old child or 10-year-old or whatever, like I hear you,
Hmm.
but like I'm in control with this information now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
you
it's
gotta, I'm
gonna,
hearing you,
yeah.
but you gotta let me today, the
Hmm.
40-year-old me, make the decisions. Or you're not 40, I know, but you
Oh,
gotta let me make the
close.
decision, right?
I'm
So,
I'm 38 and a half.
ooh,
When do we give up half birthdays, do you think? Or
I
like
don't think we have to.
I know. Yeah, I noticed I was commenting on something recently and I felt very compelled to say the and a half when I was like, I'm 38 and a half.
That's like when I'm talking about my height, I'm like, I'm 5'1.5".
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you for listening to me on this one. I like that what you said was like, like yes, this podcast is about regret, and that's so closely tied to guilt, but like there can still be a specific regret about guilt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was my time. Let's send it over to you
Yeah.
unless you have more feedback.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
That was
great.
a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any like preamble or do you just want to like get into
Mine's
your
kind of short and
thing?
sweet today, but I want to say it's kind of a preamble to like maybe tangents I've gone off
Sure.
on in past episodes,
Okay.
perhaps. So, yeah. So I have something that I want to let go of in order to move forward, and here it is. I know that I'm a big advocate for talking about different types of mental health. I believe that we need to talk about it so that we create the conversation where we can easily talk about mental health in the same way we talk about physical health, right? There's still stigma out there against, oh, you have the flu, you can stay home from work, but there's still stigma around, I need a mental health day, I need to stay home from work, or these sorts of things, right? So I talk a lot about seasonal affective disorder because I have it. I've recently learned, let's say this, that you can also have seasonal affective disorder in the summer. And I always talk about it in the winter because I have it in the winter, but I don't want to stigmatize people that have it in the summer because I've talked a lot about why you have it in the winter, and I don't want people that have it in the summer to feel that they're stigmatized against because yeah, it can happen in the summer too. It's just a little bit rarer in the summer, but I don't want people to feel like if you're listening out there and you have summer seasonal affective disorder that I'm stigmatizing against that. So I want to apologize for that, and I want to let that go, and I want to just say a little bit about summer onset seasonal affective disorder. It's a less common form of seasonal affective disorder. Symptoms occur during the spring and the summer, but the symptoms are ultimately the same as winter. Feeling sad, listless, down, losing interest in activities, low energy, sleep problems, changes in appetite. Yeah, so there's not just there's more knowledge about winter seasonal affective disorder because we know that it's about the light and the light changes and vitamin D. They're still trying to figure out what the exact causes are of summer onset SID, but it still is related to changes in light exposure. It could be disruptions in sleep patterns because the days are actually longer, or there's actually warmer temperature and it's harder to sleep at night because people like to the body likes to sleep more in cool air. It could be sensitivity to heat and humidity. Some people just don't like the heat and humidity, and that can make them feel sad, listless, down, losing interest, right? So I just wanted to say maybe the consequences of me continuing to talk about seasonal affective disorder only in the winter time is that I am perpetuating a little bit of stigma, and I do not want to be doing that. I want to be an advocate for accepting neurodivergencies, accepting mental health, accepting these things. We need to be able to talk about them the same way we talk about, oh, I broke my leg or I twisted my ankle. And so I I guess I want to apologize. And I am going to move forward from this with greater knowledge about seasonal affective disorder because I want everybody that's out there to feel heard, to feel valued, and to know that how you're feeling is okay. So I did everything that I could in the moment that I had in those past episodes with the tools that I had at the time and the information that I had at that time, and that's okay. But now I have more information and I am going to move forward from this spot.
Whoa, so cool. Pardon the pun. Um, would you like feedback on this one, or do you
Sure.
just kind of want to talk about it? Okay.
Because I feel like you probably have some insight as well.
Uh, um,
Yeah.
I think because I think you've touched on lots of reasons why summer seasonal affective disorder is real, and it's also kind of stigmatized a little. Because yeah, there is this understanding that in the winter you get blues. Everyone gets
Hmm.
down in the winter because you're not getting enough exercise and we're waiting for the light to come back and all those other things. But yeah, I think I might be someone who struggles more in the summer than in the winter. I mean, obviously fall is number one. Fall's the best season of the year for me. But yeah, like I love a breeze. So the other thing I would kind of want to mention here for anyone who does feel that, oh, hey, that is me. Like I do have like some summertime blues. Is that if you're already struggling with your mental health and you are taking mental health medication, a really common side effect to mental health medication is heat sensitivity and
Hmm.
sun sensitivity. So you're on these medicines and summer comes and you're excited because, oh my gosh, it's summer, let's get out there. But then, you don't wear a hat, you don't bring enough water, you don't stay in the shade. And then you get home and you've got this wicked sunburn. And so now you're getting even more down on yourself. And just know that, like, if you're on an SSRI or a lot of other mental health medications, that like sun sensitivity is absolutely a common side effect. And it's just really not talked about at all. So just want to say, like, keep your water, keep your big dumb cups with you. Don't feel like embarrassed if you're not one of these people who just love summer, because I do think there is, especially in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Summer's so short. Again, toxic gratitude, right? Like there's this idea that like summer's here, you got to make use of every single day because winter's going to come and then you're going to be sad again.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of pressure to like enjoy every minute of the summer. And that's just not realistic for some people. So I think I'm really proud of you for kind of looking into this and just, I don't know if you necessarily have to apologize, but I also don't want to take that away from you. So like, so I'm proud of you for looking into it and yeah, talking about it. And I think maybe this year will be a big year that people talk about it because like I'm seeing it on threads. I'm seeing people talk about it a bit more. So yeah, I guess just thank you for taking ownership on this and exploring the other side of, again, we call it seasonal affective disorder, right? Not winter
Winter
affective
affective
disorder.
disorder.
So
That's
it
right.
is,
That's
but
right.
it's so attached to winter. So yeah, and actually, I mean, I guess for that matter too, like here I am saying that fall's the best season, but I wonder if there's some people who get upset in the fall because winter's coming,
Yeah, for sure. I
or
do.
yeah. And then
You
for
and I
me,
are like kind of on
yeah,
both
I
sides
guess
of
I guess
this,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like in the spring because I'm so allergic to so many environmental things. I think I dislike spring more than I dislike summer. By summertime, a lot of everything's pretty much grown.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's that melt. The melt is the thing I'm the most allergic to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's, we all are working on it. We're all looking for more compassion for ourselves and that starts with having more compassion for others, or I don't know, maybe I have that
Yeah, I
backwards.
think like again, like you this is part of the human experience and part of like doing work on yourself is like admitting when you need to change an opinion and admitting when
Mm,
you've learned new information. And
yeah.
I'm going to go a little deep here, but I think this is part of the problem with the world, with
Mm,
politics, is we don't allow our politicians to change their minds on things. And we don't allow, oh, if you change your mind, you're wishy-washy or you're a
mm,
flip-flopper.
hmm.
Everybody should be a flip-flopper.
Right.
We should be constantly searching out new information
Hmm.
and changing our minds based on the new information. That's what science is, right?
Hmm.
We disprove something and we find new information. And it's okay to change your mind. And it's also, I think this is another problem with the world right now. It's also okay to admit when you're wrong.
Mm, hmm.
And I think there is a fear to admit when you're wrong because there's a fear of like being canceled.
Sure.
I don't love cancel culture. I
Hmm.
think that like we need to provide spaces for people to admit they're wrong, apologize, to grow as people, or to be
Hmm.
punished for bad behavior.
Right.
Everybody in the world needs to learn it's okay to be humble, it's okay to apologize for your behavior. And if you're on the other side where someone is apologizing for their behavior, it's really hard for them to do that. So try to forgive them, try to acknowledge that they're trying to be they're trying to grow as a person and they're trying to move forward, and they're doing that publicly by admitting their mistakes.
Yeah. Do you think there's maybe a limit to that? Like, how many
Sure.
chances should we give a person?
Yeah, I
Or is
think
there
there's a
not a
limit.
finite amount? Or,
If you
yeah,
keep apologizing for something and keep doing the same behavior, not cool.
right, right,
But if someone actually like admits their behavior and changes their behavior based on, or changes their pattern based on new information they have, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be punished for, like, I mean, let's talk like law things, like somebody broke the law, somebody murdered something, whatever. I just mean generally, like, do you ever just feel judged by friends, or that you lost friends because they think you're the same person you were in university, or you're afraid to talk to a university friend because you're like, or a high school friend because you're like, oh my God, I was like totally different person. Then they probably think I'm that same person and probably judging me, right? I'm talking more on that level, like, give people a chance,
right. Yeah,
give each other a chance.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a good reminder. No, that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I know. This was a short and sweet one. I really just I just wanted to like kind of publicly say I'm still learning. I'm not like the mental health expert on every single mental health there is, but I've done a lot of work on myself and the different things that I have and family members have and friends have, and you know, but I'm also still learning too. And we're still learning about neurodivergencies. We're still learning about mental health.
Totally.
But my biggest goal has always been to stop the stigma. And if I'm
Exactly.
part of that, I need to make sure that I'm consistently educating myself, getting more knowledge, because that's one of my biggest goals in life, is to stop the stigma around mental health. And it's still happening. It's still
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And we need to make mental health just as socially accepted as physical health. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I actually, something I hadn't really considered that you brought up was the sleep disturbances piece. But lots of people work, you know, specific shifts, and it's harder to go to bed when the sun is still up,
Yeah, that's
right?
biological. That's
So
the human
yeah,
body. The human body
yeah.
wants to be awake when the sun is up. Period.
Exactly. So it would that was an angle I wasn't really considering as much when I like, because for me it really is like the heat and the humidity and just how physically uncomfortable I am in with the heat and humidity. Plus there's identity issues too, right? Like I think as someone who's in a bigger body, I'm kind of expected to keep my body covered. I'm not supposed to just be
Mm.
in a sports bra and a pair of shorts. I'm supposed to be like in a dress with like that that's about as cheeky as I can get because that's how fat people are
What's like
allowed to exist in the
socially
world.
accepted. Yeah.
Totally. So,
But
there's
that's
I
not comfortable.
no, it's not
Maybe you
comfortable.
want to be like wearing.
Well, we want to be, but like then you have to choose. You have to choose between the discomfort of being like
Mm,
bullied or the discomfort of being too hot. So,
brutal.
yeah, yeah. So, I think there's a lot of identity issues that overlay on the summer and winter and all the seasonal different changes we go through. And then I guess actually to bring it back to toxic gratitude, because that's how your
Hmm.
girl likes to do it. This same therapist who discovered my self-sacrifice changed my perception of the seasons when he was my therapist. He was originally, not originally, he was originally from Canada, but then he lived like 20 years in San Francisco before he came back to Canada.
Okay.
And he told me that he was extremely grateful for seasons because he lived without them for so long. So he wasn't getting that, like you're saying, the human
Hmm.
biological stuff that like
Hmm.
it's time to,
We like change in some ways. We like the novelty of change.
he said like there was like a period of like 10 years that all felt just like 1 year because like
Mm,
things didn't change. Like, yes, you had Christmas, but Christmas without snow. And I mean, that's happening up here now too. But like, those seasonal changes, he said, really helped him just kind of notice the passage of time in a different way. And that like he was very grateful to be back in Ontario
mm.
because we get to experience such variety in our seasons. So yeah, a little bit of a toxic gratitude, a little bit, I guess, but also like I don't know if that helps someone, then I would love to pass that along to
Yeah,
others.
it's interesting. My sister said the same thing about living in Australia.
Okay.
Like what she said, like one of the things that she missed is the seasons, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a built-in renewal.
Right.
You know that feeling
Yeah.
you feel in the fall? and you're like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna put my summer clothes away and get my warm and cozies out, and then there's a renewal in spring too. It's like a built-in refresh or a built-in restart in the year. And if you don't have that, you have to consciously do it. But we can easily and naturally subconsciously do it when we have the seasons.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So, not to say be grateful for your seasonal
No, but just
depression, but
be
like
maybe be aware of
just
which season you thrive in.
yeah, that's a good way to put it for
And then
sure.
be kind to yourself in the seasons you don't thrive in, and get the support you need in the seasons you don't thrive in, and then lean into the
Yeah.
ones that you do thrive in. For me, it's summer.
Right.
For other people, it might be winter.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, I try to get as much work done in the summer as I can on my business. I also try to enjoy it as much as I can. I make sure I go for a swim every day, that the weather's good. But I'm also like doing a lot of work in the background and doing a lot of computer work and a lot of planning and organizing for my business, because I know in the winter I have less motivation. And maybe it's the opposite for some people. Maybe in the winter they're like, I can really hunker down and get a lot of stuff done, and my brain is more focused, so that in the summer I can allow myself to heal and be kind and gentle to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Which takes us back to the main crux of why we're even friends is that the 9 to 5 is broken. We
Yeah.
we need to find other ways of working and thriving and living because this kind of cookie cutter, everyone does the same thing year round, isn't working for people.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Thank you for the
Wow.
feedback. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, other than I drew a little snowman on my
You doodled a little snowman on your
doodle
paper
little
while you're listening.
snowman. And I didn't even mean to. It wasn't like I just like drew a circle and then I started like and I now he has like a little top hat and a flower.
It's
Um
your brain. That's your brain telling you something.
yeah, for sure. So yeah. Yeah, I'm a big doodler, a big believer in doodling to keep yourself mentally in the room.
Oh yeah, me too. There's been
Yeah,
so many studies on doodling and how it's actually really good
yeah.
for you and good for your brain. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I used to work on this team where we had a meeting every morning, right? Every single morning. You had to be there. We would do like a 15-minute check-in. And I was always doodling. And like one time during a performance review, my manager brought it up as a problem.
It's not a
And
problem.
and
It
I was
actually
like,
makes you more focused.
I didn't do it for like 3 months, but then like I would miss everything that happened in the meeting because
Mm,
I wasn't like physically like my brain would just go on a little vacation where like if I'm physically like using my hands, I can like stay mentally in the room. But I did again, this was way back when I had undiagnosed
yeah.
ADHD. Now it's one of those things where because I am diagnosed, I know that it's like an accommodation for me.
So
Yeah,
have I
just
told you this
interesting.
study? Because I went down like a deep dive on doodling a couple years ago. And now when I teach like brain fitness or do like brain fitness talks, I talk about doodling, and I usually guide people to do a doodle in the workshops that I run. So there was this study done where they had two groups, and both groups had to listen to a really long rambling voicemail message. So
Hmm.
similar to like being in a meeting, right?
Right.
And one group, they just had them listen. They didn't give them pen and paper, nothing. They just had them listen. And the other group, they gave them pen and paper, but they weren't allowed to take notes, but they were allowed to doodle.
Mm.
And then they gave them a memory test afterwards on what they remembered from this really long, rambling voicemail message. And the group that doodled remembered 29% more information.
That's wild.
That's actually that's a third.
Yep.
That's a huge
Yep.
number, right? So there's lots, and there's all these other studies too, but like it's interesting because the attitude around it, because I remember getting in trouble at school, yeah, for doodling, but clearly my brain was doodling to keep me engaged in some way. Thank
Hmm.
you for drawing a snowman while you were listening to me. It means you were listening.
Anytime. Yeah, similarly, I feel like that idea that like look at me when I'm talking to you, kind of like that kind of,
Yeah, people process
scolding.
differently. People are
Yeah.
processing information differently. Speaking of mental health and different brains and neurodivergency, right? People process differently.
Yeah, like if I'm really looking at you and making sure I'm doing my eye contact, I don't think I'm listening, honestly. Like it's
Yeah.
harder.
You're
It's
probably
much more
thinking make eye
difficult.
contact, make eye contact, make eye contact. You're not actually processing what you're hearing.
Or that
Yeah.
other trick where you're supposed to look between the eyebrows.
Yeah.
And then like I'm mentally being like, okay, don't stop, like make sure. Oh, and then you're counting and you're like, okay, so I should blink in 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so 90.
totally do the same
And
thing.
then I'm not listening to the damn
Yeah.
person. But if the person like understands that like I'm gonna kind of look around and like
Yeah.
oh not like I actually listen better when I'm not performing
Yeah.
listening,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I think that makes sense.
So, but yeah, but then again, also it's all so tough. It's all murky because then I think for some people, they might feel shut down if I'm not giving them eye contact, and then their RSD flares up because I'm not giving them the eye contact they need in order to express themselves. So everything's a balance,
But I
right?
think like words matter in that point, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of what we demonstrate here too. Like I heard you.
Right.
You can repeat back to them what you heard them say. You can say like, "Do you want feedback?" or "Is this what you're saying? I want to make sure I have it clear." Like that's where words matter to help people feel heard and valued. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do you want to lead us through our breathing exercise to close out, or do
I
you have?
do.
Yeah. Okay.
So we
Great.
haven't been together in quite a while, everyone, and each season I kind of do like three different breaths, and this time I thought I'd do something a little different for the next few episodes, talking about feeling valued, feeling worthy, and I think this is a message that we need to tell ourselves every day. So if you are able to come to the front edge of your seat, if you're driving, just keep driving. Okay. I know lots of people listen to podcast drive, but if you're able to come to the front edge of your seat, put your feet flat on the floor. And if you want, close your eyes. We're just going to take a moment to feel the points of contact that we have with the earth. So maybe it's your bum on a chair, it's your feet on the floor. Maybe if you're lying down, it's like your head on a pillow or your spine on a mattress. But there's like certain points that are sinking into the earth. So I want you to take a big breath in and a long breath out and just sink down into those points of contact. Feel them. Feel gravity holding on to you. Gravity is telling you that it wants you to be on the face of this planet, that you are worthy of being on the face of this planet just because you exist. It will never let you fly away. It will always keep you grounded and always support you. So I want you to take another big breath in through your nose and another long breath out through your mouth and sink down into the palm of the earth's hand and know that the earth is always supporting you and that you are worthy just because you exist on the face of the planet. And I want you to take one more deep breath in and one more deep breath out. And I'm going to leave you with a little motivational quote, and that's what I'm going to do at the end of each episode this season. So here is your quote or motivation or something to ponder for today. Never underestimate the power of sunshine, water, and sleep. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and we're so excited to be back. Please give us feedback. Please give us 5-star reviews. It's so easy. You can just click on that 5 stars, whether you're on Spotify or Apple, or give us a written review. It really helps with the algorithm. It really helps to get this podcast out there. We appreciate you so much. And as always, tell a friend. That's the easiest way you can support us. Tell a friend how great you think this podcast is. Thank you so much, and we hope that you have an awesome week, and we will see you in the next one, everybody. Okay, bye.
This episode of Let's Relieve Regret was produced by Shadoe and Victoria Muir-Bercia.
Editing by me, Victoria Muir-Bercia.
We are an independent podcast supported by you, our listeners.
If you think this podcast sends a valuable message, you had an aha moment, or learned something new about yourself. Help us realize our goal of reaching as many listeners as possible.
We encourage you to take action and support us right now by choosing one of the following options.
You can easily support us by
following us on Instagram at relieve.regret.
Tell 2 friends.
Leave a 5-star review on whatever app you're listening to us on.
Leave a tip at ko-fi.com/Let's Relieve Regret podcast. That's ko-fi.com/Let's Relieve Regret podcast.
Join our conversations in the Facebook group, Let's Relieve Regret Podcast.
Find all this information, all the links, and more in the podcast notes. Okay, bye.
Bye.